All right, good morning, everybody. It is straight up 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, the Thursday edition of the Impact Hour with my man, Joseph Lee. And before we even get started, the phone number is 210-461-8034 if you have any questions. Also, you can put questions down in our Facebook on post page right now. We're live on there. We also live on Twitch and on YouTube. So you can put questions anywhere you want to go because I'll be clicking back and forth to all of them to see if we got any questions. So, Joseph, last week we hit a lot of points last week, and some of the people came back and told me what they'd like to talk about. But you came up with a good deal. We got too many topics on here to talk about just one, two, or three. We need to hear from the audience themselves on what they want to hear, and that way we could dig deep into it. And so that's one thing we want to do. We want the audience, we want interaction with y'all. We want y'all to chime in. And I will not use your name, okay? Because a lot of people are scared about that. I will not, when you chime in, I will not use your name. I will use the city that you're calling from, but not the name. So if that makes you feel more at ease, be good. Now, I'm going to tell y'all one thing we're going to do down the line, and me and Joseph talk about that. Maybe one time I'll leave Zoom open to a few people, and you could chime in yourself and come on live. If you're not, I don't want to use the word scared, but yeah, scared. Because we know nowadays how everybody, they want to ask the question, but they don't want to be seen. They don't want to be heard. I understand that. Your privacy is set with us. You don't have to worry about that. So, Joseph, I said my piece, so let's do it.
Yeah, so we got some feedback last time. Some of the things that people wanted to talk about is men's mental health, and that's definitely one that we need to talk about because men are conditioned since kids to toughen up, just to drive on, don't cry, just suck it up, keep it moving. Then you got folks that have been in the military, and especially in the combat arm fields and most of the military, you're told, hey, just drive on, keep it moving. In basic training, I guess one of the models was always forward. Always keep pushing. Don't you deal with just your issues later. Right now, we got to keep it moving. Mission first, right? But
Right.
I have to say, if you're not in a stable mindset, it's very difficult to focus on the mission, right? So you got to have some things that you take care of when you're not actively engaged and working or dealing with the mission of life. You have to take care of yourself, right? And with men, we tend to compartmentalize a lot, focus on what needs to be done until things get so overloaded that you can't. And a lot of times when you don't take care of things, it comes out in your relationships, in your behavior, in your anger. So you have to kind of take stock and allow yourself and allow men to take care of the things that are going on in your relationships, at your work or whatever. And it's not something that we're used to doing. So men's support groups, Craig Washington, at with his um, life coaching, practice. You can go to Impact Counseling, go to the website, and you can look at his ministries. And he's got a book out now where I don't talk about it, but I need to.
Yes.
There's going to be a group that will be, here in the San Antonio area soon, where we can kind of get online and actually, I think we're going to go ahead and do kind of like an impact collaboration group and get Craig on there. We'll send a date and time. We can just get on and for guys who want to talk about it. We have a group every first of the month. CBC has a group, and I think on my arm, on one of these arms, I got the logo. It's called it's Bros and Brews, and we come out there every first of the month and just talk. Just fellowship, Christian men, just keeping each other accountable, and there's different topics that we talk about, and it's an open forum. Whatever the issue is, we got people there. Obviously I'm a licensed therapist, but we got a lot. Craig is a Christian life coach. I do Christian counseling, and we, just focus on, whatever we want to talk about. The Bible says iron sharpens iron, right? So doesn't mean that, you know, you're always going to be the sharpest one in the room. And sometimes you need to talk about things, deal with things, and it's okay to not be okay, right? We put on this fake face sometimes and drive on. When there's things that are going on that we need to lean on each other. And this time right now, I think that's the silver lining of this time that we're in right now, is that we are learning to lean on each other and to build the village. And that's a key part of what we've been talking about is, building your village, building your circle, and knowing that it's okay to have an issue or have a struggle or have, somebody that you need to lean on from time to time. You look at, the president, he has a cabinet, right? And he leans on all those folks. All the things that are going on right now, trust and believe, it's not just him that's doing it. It's a cabinet of people that's putting those things together. So you as an individual, you need to have your cabinet. You're the president of your own life, right? And as a husband, you're supposed to be, and according to the word, the head of the household. So you need to have a cabinet of people, your circle, to help you in decisions. I got an issue in my house. Hey, I'm gonna call the Black MacGyver. The CEO of repairs or whatever. And, so I don't have to carry that load myself and try to figure out. Some things I will try to do on my own, like, but if it's not your skill set, if you need some help, look, and that applies to mental health as well. There's going to be some things that go on that you need to sometimes talk to somebody about, right?
Yes.
And it's okay to reach out and maybe help. If I take this background off, you'll see probably about 20 or 30 books back there. Look, yes, I've read all of them. And I've had to use the tools in a lot of these books to kind of help, people. And as a therapist, my job is to help you with the tools to apply it to your life. And those could be different tools. It could be relaxation. That's one of the other topics that people wanted to talk about, anxiety. Listen, if you've been around for this past year, you've had some anxiety, right?
Yes.
Now, the thing about anxiety is, and go back to last week's show, you can't change all the things. Your power is not in controlling all the things that happen to you. You're going to have things that happen that are beyond your control, but you are 100% in control of how you respond to it, right? So that applies with anxiety. When you're watching something on the news and you're feeling anxious, you're feeling like you want to do something, well, the first thing is making sure that you're good, you're healthy, so that you can respond in a healthy way, right? So what are we talking about? Well, all the things that are going on right now, we know that midterms are coming up. If we don't like what's going on, then we're going to go out and vote.
Right.
And we're going to let them know. We can also control who we support financially, so that takes some of the power back. And then, you get a few people together, then it's not just you, right? That's dealing with this situation. And we're thinking about different ways where we can be empowered. I've got some folks in our circle that are running for offices. Shout out to, my sister, Veronica Brooks, who's running for judge. She's getting out there and she's making a difference at the position that she can. Get out there in the community and educate our youth. In my fraternity, we have a book reading coming up where we're going to get out into one of the schools and read to the kids, increasing literacy. Doing what you can do in your circle helps to alleviate that feeling of hopelessness. Like, I can't do anything. Well, that's very seldom. Well, actually, it's not true. You're not helpless. You're 100% in control of how you respond to these situations. Well, you say, well, man, that's not helping my situation where I need help with finances. What can you do? What action step can you do to help with your finances? Right? So instead of worrying, look to an action step. Do you need to go back to school? Do you need to get a certification? Do you need to get something out there? Because there's resources out there to help you to do those things. to help address your anxiety. And what if it's something family wise? Well, there's family therapists out there. And a lot of times, I know in my practice, I can take Medicaid, I can take Medicare, I can take different forms of insurances to help, in that process so that, some of those costs are low to none for out of pocket. Excuse me, these allergies are horrible.
Tell me
But,
about it.
just not sitting there and worrying about it, reach out and ask for help, right? And, that's what this forum is about. But look to that Zoom. Well, we can get together and we can all have a discussion. It'll be, therapists, it'll be some life coaches in there, and we can help some folks out.
Okay. You ready for the first question just came in?
Right now, not really. I'm trying
Okay.
not to cough. Yeah, okay, I'm ready. What we got?
This is from Colorado Springs. And,
Colorado.
and she's a young lady. And she said, how do you rebuild trust after betrayal and repeat disappointment?
How do you build trust? How do you build trust? Well, trust is rebuilt through consistent actions that are consistent with the thing that you want to see happen, right? So it depends on how the trust was violated. So if it's infidelity, then obviously it's got to be a commitment that, hey, this is something that was something that's not going to continue. It's a behavior that the person promises will never happen again. And then there'll be some consistent actions, verbally, non-verbally, what was saying consistently after that time, and then willing to go for treatment, for couples counseling, whatever the case may be, to assure that that behavior is not going to repeat itself. And there'll be it'll be very easy to see, because I say all the time, your actions speak so loudly I can't hear a word you're saying. When a person is serious about changing their ways, there are certain things that will happen or change that will prove that. For example, allowing you to go to their phone anytime you want to, right? If a person is being honest about you being faithful, then there should be no problem with you accessing their social media, all of their social media, and accessing their phone anytime that you want to. Their behaviors, their time, your availability to their schedule, and understanding of what's going on, the transparency in the relationship. It's hard to be a person that has infidelity when you're being completely transparent. So when they're hiding things, but saying they want to be open and they're going to be honest, then you know that those actions don't match up. So, and those are things that you shouldn't have to say, right? Keep your eyes open and make sure that they're being consistent with what they say. And you know that,
Yeah.
right? Most women have an instinct, and that instinct, I'd say you follow it, right? If something doesn't sound right, if something doesn't feel right, most likely it's not right.
That's right.
And don't fall in love with the illusion or the hope of your relationship. Be present in that relationship, and if it's things that just don't feel right and don't seem right, ask the question, hey, why aren't you being transparent here? Why can't I see your phone? Why are you getting these texts in the middle of the night, emails, or you got to go to a different room and read your emails and all that type of stuff? Be transparent. If it's not transparent, then maybe the actions aren't matching the words, and then you can't, and it's not going to allow that trust to be built. So you have to, there's some books up here on how to survive infidelity, and there's a lot of things that need to be done in rebuilding trust. But one of the main thing is consistent behaviors that match what the person says that they want to do in a relationship. And time will tell if a person is really true and serious about rebuilding trust.
I just got to throw some things in there. What about the ones that's constantly doing it, and the other party just sits there and just let it happen, don't say anything? I mean, probably get upset sometime, but that one person is keep on doing the same thing over. Oh, weekend and went out. They have the same conversation about you cheating on me, and then they get on a program called Snap. you know, seriously, and then all of a sudden they just snap and just go off on the person because a person going to take so much. So let me rephrase what I'm getting ready to say. So what happens if that one person is constantly cheated on? Should that person seek help without the other partner, or should they do it together?
Well, I think a person that allows themselves to stay in an abusive relationship, it's usually because there's something going on that you need to work on individually first and foremost, right? Um, a lot of times people get in those relationships because they have low self-esteem. They're used to seeing, or sometimes that type of relationship play out, be it in their familial relationship, meaning their mother and father. They've seen that dynamic play out, and they think that's just how it is. Listening to the type of music, God bless Keisha Cole, she's a great singer, but my goodness, listen, if you're listening to Keisha Cole songs all the time, does she ever have a song about being in a healthy relationship? Does she, if you're listening to this stuff, and it gets into your subconscious, you're thinking that you're going to have, it's acceptable to have some dysfunction in your relationship, then you've already kind of lost the battle, right? You've got to look at why is it that you have allowed yourself to be around or deal with things that are unhealthy, and that's the first step. And setting up boundaries in your life, saying, well, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this standard. And then here's the hard part: acting on it.
Mm.
And being, as I said in the previous conversation, consistent, right? But if you have some things that are broken in your own psychosis, in your own mindset, then it's hard to lift that standard up. And and unfortunately, sometimes people are their own enemy. They allow for people to abuse them. So guess what? They keep getting abused.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a standard and you meet that and you enforce that standard, then it's harder to allow abuse, to continue, or you stop abuse. But it's a little more difficult when you're dependent on a person financially, right? It's hard to say what you'll deal with when you don't have the power to leave that relationship. So I'm not being, facetious, or I'm not being, blind to that. So you have to find resources and plan your escape sometimes, and find there's women shelters, and there's also, believe it or not, there's some men that have some difficulty getting out of abusive relationships, and that's even more difficult. So that a lot of times what they do then is they do snap, right? So we don't want to get to that point. So if you know that this relationship is unhealthy, you got to look at, okay, what is it? How am I allowing this to happen? Why am I allowing this to happen? First and foremost. And once you figure out, hey, maybe there's some things going on with me I need to look at, maybe I need to deal with some self-esteem issues, maybe I need to get a little bit more independence and finances together so that I can leave the situation. There's so many different components to that. But infidelity is just sometimes the product of some deeper scars and some deeper issues that need to be addressed. So you got to get to the root of it before you can fix it.
So I'm on a roll now because something just came into my head. A lot of people depend on each other. And to me, that's a good marriage and partnership because you depend on each other. Your strength may be this, your strength may be this, and all that stuff. But the point I'm trying to make is when you get one person depends on that other person for everything, whether it's finance. I'm gonna put finance in there because that's the biggest part right there. Then you sort of your hands are tied because you depended on that person, and that person have the power to do whatever they want to do to you or with you. So when you depend on that one person all the time to do everything for you, that is really not a relationship. So
It's
once
a
it,
depend.
and once they
Yeah.
get stuck in there, then what you just said, it's hard for them to get away because, oh, what I'm going to do? They pay for everything. What I'm going to do? So sometimes, I don't mean sound rude and cruel, but sometimes people set their own self up for failure.
There's relationship and there's dependency. So you have to understand the difference, right? So a relationship is a mutual agreement of coming together, and there's a mutually beneficial relationship there, right? When one person comes together and they're dependent on the other person, that can turn into some unhealthy things, right? So I see it a lot of times. If you think about it, I remember back when I was in financial services and I was living in Florida, there was a lot of women that were completely dependent on their husbands for all of their financial well-being, and the wife in turn would just take care of a lot of times the house and all the things around the house, and they had a codependent relationship that was agreed upon. But then unfortunately, when that husband passed away, she was completely lost in terms of all the financial things. So I had to go in and help her set up some things like annuities that would continue to pay for the house and the things so that she wouldn't be, lose the house and all that. So I guess what I'm saying here is, instead of a dependent relationship, you need to have at least some ability to be independent. Because what happens if that significant other leaves? What happens
Right.
if that person, decides to leave you or leaves because of sickness, whatever the case may be? You need to know how to stand on your own 2 feet in a sense. And sometimes it's okay. It's okay to be a housewife if you just want to be a housewife, or it's okay to be a house husband, I guess, if you want to be a house husband. But if your significant other carries all the weight financially, it's going to be a potentially disastrous situation if they leave, or if they're taken away, right?
Yeah.
If life happens. So always kind of consider, how am I going to make it, on my own? And the other thing too is, in abusive relationships, in infidelity relationships, a person knows that the other person isn't going to leave, so they feel like they can do whatever they want to do. If you need to have some leverage in a relationship, a person needs to know, hey, if I cross this line right here, I'm gonna be by myself. And you need to know that, hey, if you need to have some boundaries that you can set, and you have to have the leverage and the ability to enforce that. So in any relationship, um, if you're not contributing something to that relationship, the other person will leave, or should have the ability to leave, is the healthy part. Relationships should be beneficial, it should be mutual, and even in marriage. Just because you're married, it doesn't mean that you should be abusive, or you should have the ability to just have a one-sided relationship where you're
Yeah.
just receiving the benefit. It should always be mutually beneficial. So that's why it's so important to have that period of time before a person gets married to talk about what their role is, what the relationship is, what you're going to bring to the table. I know my wife and I had this conversation with her before we got married. I said, I think about a relationship like a dinner. What do you bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? And do we have what we need in this at this table? I don't need two or three main courses. I don't need 4 or 5 desserts. I don't need 5 or 6 drinks. You know what I'm saying? We need to figure out who's bringing what to the table, when, and why. And sometimes those roles shift. When I was in the military, my wife went to school. When I got out of the military, I went to school. You know what I'm saying? So there's different times where, and then we both are able to bring in incomes. And if something happens to me, I know my wife is going to be okay because she's an RN. If something happens to my wife, we're going to be okay because I'm a therapist. I can handle things, financially and all that. Both of us can. So you have to have those kind of conversations And sometimes, um, people feel, and I've seen it where a guy or a female feels like they're bringing in all the bread. So whatever I do, that's my business, and as long as the bills are paid, you should have no problem. Well, that doesn't always work out like that. That doesn't always work out like that,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you didn't have that understanding in the very beginning, right? So I guess there's a difference between dependency and relationship, and sometimes when people get those things confused, that's when you have a problem. Just because you're in a dependency situation doesn't mean you have a healthy relationship, and just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that you're going to have some healthy dependencies, if that makes any sense. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be a dependency. There are needs that have to be met in a relationship. And you got to start talking about your love languages, right? Like some
Mhm.
people have, touch is a love language. Some people have, there's a book out there, Seven Love Languages. People need to pick that up and figure out, what type of person you are, and is the spouse or significant other that you have, are they able to communicate in your love language? And, can you guys reciprocate that?
Okay. Well, since you said that, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you create peace in your environment that is so stressful?
Well, first of all, you got to identify what the stressor is. And is this, if the stressor is in your environment, why is it there? Like, what is it that's causing the stress? Is it that somebody isn't good with finances, and you're always arguing about finances? Is it because of your personalities clashing? And then why is it that you're clashing? Are there boundaries that are being crossed? Is it because you haven't communicated what your boundaries are and what's acceptable to you? Do you know what your boundaries are? Right? So, in a relationship, if you want peace, that means there's order. That
Hmm.
means there's understanding, and those things don't happen. Order and understanding doesn't happen without proper communication. So if you're an introvert and you don't want to tell the person what's wrong, then guess what? You're going to be violated because the person may not know exactly what you feel is acceptable or not acceptable. See, a
Right.
lot of times people who have attraction and they feel that's all you need in a relationship. That's only just one ingredient. Once you get past attraction, you have to figure out what the roles are, the communication. Does this person understand what you like and what you don't like, and and what you think is known and common is not common. Everybody doesn't think the same way, and that can be good,
Hmm.
right? You shouldn't think exactly the same way, but there's some things like respect, listening, and there's listening, and then there's active listening, where you're actually trying to understand and get what the person is saying versus just hearing and letting the person speak. So,
I'm laughing because most of the time, um, somebody would say, "You know what I'm talking about." You look at them, I don't have a clue what you're talking about.
clue
Well,
what you're
why?
talking
And then
about.
they get mad at you because you don't know. And you
Right?
sit
Yeah.
down there and say, "What did I do?" You ask me, I don't know what you're thinking. And I said, "Boy, if I was in your brain, I'd run out there right away." But some of the biggest arguments comes from something simple like that. And
Most,
I see
yeah.
people blow up on simple things like, I don't know what you're thinking.
One of the biggest mistakes that people have is that, like you have a little thing and it becomes a major blow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really not the little thing you're arguing about. It's the lack of respect that you feel in a relationship. It's your needs aren't being met, your love languages haven't been addressed, and you don't feel fulfilled within that relationship. So then a little thing like leaving the refrigerator open, or a pet peeve like leaving your shoes in the floor, whatever the case may be, that's just the trigger. You're arguing about something bigger that you need to understand and address. And usually it'll get to it, right?
Hmm.
It'll be the little thing, but then other things will happen, and being aware of your state too, because I remember when my wife would work these 312s back in the day, we would always have our worst arguments because it was not the issue; it was the fact she was exhausted.
Yeah.
And so you have to take some time and understand your significant other, understand that it's not the time to have a discussion about something you disagree with after she just worked 312s. She is
Hmm.
different from us, and you're not always gonna, at Burger King, what's the saying? You're not always gonna have it your
Your
way.
way, exactly.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You got to learn compromise. And I know if my wife is watching right now, she probably would say, I'm being hypocritical right now. Yeah, so I can hear her talking right now. But you're not gonna, always have it your way. You gotta learn to compromise. You gotta learn to, do some things that, or watch some shows or whatever that you don't necessarily want to watch. Now,
Yeah, that
unless
part.
you're like me, I cannot stand reality TV shows. I
Me
hate them.
neither.
Why? Because I'm a therapist. I've been watching reality TV all day, so I feel
Hmm.
like I'm walking. For the most part, I refuse to watch reality TV. But if there's a show that's really exciting to my wife, Bridgerton, that I don't really want to watch, eventually I'm gonna
Yeah.
get so bored that we sit there, we'll watch it. And it's probably a great show. I know it's won all kind of awards, but
Hmm.
you got to learn to compromise, right? And hopefully you've got a significant other where you like the majority of things. I got my car that's going off here. Let me see what's going on here. Always have to pay attention to your surroundings, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. You said something that I want to piggyback on. It was this skit that I seen. So the wife came home and wanted to start an argument.
Right.
She wanted to start an argument. First thing, she said, you cook dinner? Your plate's right there. Did you fold the clothes? Already done. Did you take out the trash? Already done. Did you dust? Already done. So he turned around and looked at her. So you just want to argue, don't you? She said, yeah, okay, what you want to argue about? She said, nothing. Now you did everything. you know. See, he was prepared for her to come in and to argue.
Yeah.
So
See,
when
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna tell you why I love that. That person obviously studied the situation,
mm,
knew the significant other, and anticipated what was going on. I'm gonna give another technique that people can use if you're having problems arguing. Now, this you have to do this exactly how I'm saying it though. When you get ready to get into an argument and you feel it's going another way, just simply say, "You know what? I love you." It's hard. It will diffuse the situation almost every time. Well, I
mm,
know you love me, but what do you say after that? I don't love you. I don't love how. If you love me, you wouldn't be doing this. And just simply say it again. I love you, and I don't want to argue.
but
And if you could say that, a lot of times that would diffuse the situation, or just simply say, you know what, you're right,
now you know what I do.
and you'd
When,
be like,
when
wow,
yeah,
I can't. Well, how do you argue when a person says you're right?
you can't. See,
Then
but
that's it,
but
and
see,
then and mean it.
yeah,
Sometimes take the L to get the win. See, people don't understand that. Take the L to get the win. Say, you know what? You're right. You're right. I do think I know it all. Right? I do.
oh, it's just like I told my
Yeah.
wife yesterday.
Yeah.
She tried to tell me to take this direction, go over. I said, no, no, wait a minute, dear. You don't retired already. You're already Google. You're already Chat GPT, and now
See?
you won't be my GPS.
Yeah. Now listen. Here's the funny part. Right now you get I might, hey Brian, I might have to sleep on your couch after I say this. So in my car, I always use even if I know where I'm going, I always put my GPS on here in San Antonio, right?
Hmm.
And the reason why is because Google Maps, and I probably should get an endorsement from Google Maps if they listen, but Google Maps always will adjust to the least traffic
Right.
route. So, my wife would always say, why don't you go this way? And I would go, because Google Maps is rerouting me for a reason. So, had something happen where Google Maps took us on a shorter route we had never considered, but we got home faster. And I said, this is what I do, Google Maps. And my wife was like, okay, well, I guess you're right. So, did it again. I want to go this way. This time Google Maps showed that there was something in the road down. And I said, even though I know where I'm going, I like to have the active information because I don't have a satellite. And you don't either. You know what I'm saying? So it can tell me different things. And so that's why I always use my Google Maps. So here's the thing. If you know you're right, don't argue. What are you arguing for? If a person feels they're right and you know you're right, you just show them. Last night, perfect example. Give you an example of last night. I called myself being slick, and I didn't want to go into HEB because I didn't feel like going to the crowd, so I ordered something I wanted to get. So my wife wanted me to get some fire logs for the fireplace because we're supposed to have a cold weekend here, so I wanted to get that, right?
Yeah.
So I ordered it, and she was like, "Why didn't you go into the store?" Because I didn't want to go in the store. I wanted to go to the pull-up and have them bring them out. Well, unfortunately, they ran out of fire logs at HEB, the one closest to us. So my wife was upset. She was like, I saw I wanted you to go in there earlier. Well, I thought I was doing the right thing by ordering it and having it available for. I thought, in my mind, if you order it, they're going to take it, if I pay for it, they're going to go get it right then and have it sitting there. Well, that didn't happen, right? So I got ready to leave. And I said, well, I'm going to go check at Walgreens. And what did my wife say? Well, they're not going to have them at Walgreens. Why would they have them at Walgreens? And before I could say anything, I said, I'm going to go check. She said, well, I'm not going to argue with you. You just want to go. I said, good. Don't argue with me. and I hung up, right? Drove down to Walgreens. Guess what's there?
The fire logs.
Fire logs are there. 2 boxes. Came in, brought them in the house. And she's like, huh. Didn't say I was right. Didn't say she was wrong. She saw the fire logs, right? And I just simply said, next time, don't argue. Just let me do what I do. And you don't have to argue. You don't have to. She didn't have to admit that I was wrong. She don't none of that. It's not important. The bottom line is we got the logs. Bottom line is I got it done.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those things turn into big arguments when you're younger and you don't know how to.
Yeah.
I refuse not to argue because you know what I can do? I can hang up the phone.
And then get in trouble when you get home for hanging up.
Hey, listen, I got a theater room, I got an office, I got a bedroom, I got headphones, I got noise silencing.
You keep on. I'm gonna get that couch ready with the pillow and everything. You keep on talking.
I got a sleeping bag, and I can go. Listen, bottom line is don't argue when you know you're right. Just do what you're gonna do, and let your actions speak so loudly they can't hear a word you're saying. I'm learning that more and more. Listen, if you know you're right, show it. And we can do that. We go over the whole series on that finances.
Oh, right? Yes.
That's one of the major reasons people have divorces, relationships don't work out is because of the finances. And you have to be real with, are you good with your finances or not? Right? And you'll know if you're good with your finances. Check that credit score. Check that credit score. It'll let you know if you're good with your finances. And yes, sometimes things happen, we get it. But how are you doing? Do you have any money in savings? Why not? You know how much your bills are. You know how much money you make. Well, why don't you have savings? That's it.
Yeah.
See, I'm also a little bit old school, and I believe in old school philosophy. In fact, one of the things about my counseling practice, the reason I've been successful, is I don't sugarcoat some things.
That point.
Okay.
Yes.
My grandfather, Joseph W. Lee, he would not hold you up. He wouldn't hold you up. Your actions have to speak. Now we can get why some of the things aren't the way that you might be, but sometimes people need to hear the straight truth unfiltered. You know, and we got to go back to that. Now, we talk about the village. Let's go back. Let's go all the way back. Let's go back when the mothers were in the church and the deacons were in there. And if you stood up to even testify, they would tell you to sit down. You ain't living right. In the church. There was a few churches like that back in the day, wasn't there?
No, quite a few.
Yeah. Now, and if if you got a problem, you could go to somebody and they'll help you, but they also gonna hold you accountable. All right, and that's the thing. As a therapist, I'm gonna hold you accountable to what you say that you want. And in a relationship, you need to hold your significant other accountable to what they say they're going to be or do. Now, the problem, and we sense relationships is one of the things we're going to get on it. A lot of these women and men are having problems with their relationship because they're dating their potential and not the person that they're dating. I'm going to repeat that one more time. A lot of times you're in a problem in a relationship is because you're dating the potential and not the person that you're actually with. And women do this more than men. They see what a person can become, or they think they do. And they'll invest that time and that energy. And then when it doesn't work out, they're devastated. When the person was showing you who they were the whole time. You thought that person was going to become that because they wanted the best for themselves. But you don't know the psychological damage and the things that they've gone through, and they're not going to reach that potential until they get help. And unfortunately, you're actually stopping the person from becoming who they need to be because you're enabling them to be broken.
You know,
Now, and I know that's going to hurt some people. I know probably going to get a lot of calls.
they'd be all right.
But that's the truth will set you free. So stop raising your boyfriend. Stop raising your husband. A husband does not need to be raised. He provides. Period. Doesn't need your help with that.
Since you said that, I'm gonna throw this at you. What you bring about relationships? You pretty well touched.
I didn't get on the guy's side. Now I gotta be.
No, that's
balanced.
all right.
Now I did the one for the ladies, and I gotta do
Okay.
one for
Well,
the guys.
let me throw this in for you. This may help you out too for the guys.
Balance it out, though, Ron.
All right. So, what are the top reasons relationships break down today, anyway?
Top reasons?
Yes.
Finances. All right. That's one of the big ones. The roles. The roles. A lot of guys don't understand what their role is in a relationship. All right. Also, we're talking about a lot of traditional values have gone.
Oh yeah.
Right? A lot of them are gone. All right. So if you want to have a relationship, what in the world does a relationship mean to you? And what's more important, what does a relationship mean to the person you're trying to be in a relationship with? Okay? Now, give you a perfect example. I was raised to be a gentleman. So that means that sometimes I open the door, sometimes, most of the time I don't have a problem paying the bill. But, if I marry a woman who wants to be an independent woman, she wants to, pay for things, and hey, I'm gonna let you do that. If I've been told by my wife, don't go and open my door. Okay, because she wants to just hurry up and get in the car and go. So I said, okay, that's fine. I won't open the door all the time, but sometimes I'm going to open the door.
Right.
And I'm opening the door for you and my daughter, right? Because that's how I was raised. Now, sometimes if it's cold outside, we're trying to hurry up and get in the car. Sometimes I'm going to hit that auto start. We're going to jump in there and take off, right? But I said this to somebody one time and it resonated. I said, I can't treat a woman like a queen if she doesn't know she's one.
That point.
So let that sit where it is, right? Now, my wife and I are good. My wife loves, she knows that I've taken her to paradise in Japan and lived, we have a solid relationship. But there are some women that have gone through such horrific things in their life that they will never be able to be treated like a queen because they don't see themselves as one. And they're not looking for a king. And you'll get what you're looking for. If you're looking for a king, but you only want court jesters, guess what you're going to always get is a clown. And I'll tell you what a clown is, and I'm going to hit some guys below. If your husband don't know how to pull up his pants and you're looking at his underwear, you're dating a clown. And maybe that's what you want. If that's what you want, then stop looking for a king. Settle for a clown. That means you're going to have to take up the slack because he's not going to be dependent. He never will be because you are keeping him from being a king. You're keeping him in that perpetual childhood state. And then when you have kids, well, they'll be clients.
Yeah.
I'll put it like that.
You know, you just triggered something in my head. About 15 years ago, I was at church, and this guy was discussing the captain of the ship. He told the ladies, don't get upset with me what I'm getting ready to say. But the captain of the ship is the man. He is there making the decisions, doing what he feels what is best for the household, doing all that. Now, some of you ladies out there are getting upset right now for what I'm saying. But let me tell what your role is as the wife. You are the rudder. I said, you steer that man in a direction. You steer it, and he'll see where you're coming from. Then when the decision is made, it's really not just his decision. You are part of that decision maker because you're the rudder of that boat. And you steering that captain in the right direction. And I heard that and I said, man, that is awesome right there. That makes a lot of sense. The way he put it, he put out there and said, y'all in there together. Even though he's the one with the last word, but where did he get the last word from?
I'm going to add a little therapeutic twist to that, right?
Okay.
Yes. If you have a man, then you can be a woman, right? If you have someone who has the ability to be responsible, but if you have someone who hasn't grown up, and age doesn't have anything to do with maturity. I've met some very immature old men that still thought that they were men. So if you have an immature man, you can never be a rudder because he's not going to follow direction because he doesn't understand maturity and discipline. He understands immaturity, and he's waiting for somebody to tell him he's doing a good job and he's the king and all the other great things, but he's not demonstrating that. And it's hard for that relationship to work, right? Because you don't have someone who's mature enough to be in the position that they're in. And, it takes a lot for us. And I shout out to all the men like myself who didn't have a biological father to demonstrate that role. But that's still not an excuse because there are biblical examples of what a father is supposed to be. I love the saying about a husband's role to a wife. It says, a husband should love his wife like Jesus loved the church, and he would give his life for it. Now that's a heck of a.
That is. That's powerful.
That's a heck of a statement,
Yeah.
That's a heck of a standard, right? But that's how it should be. And then you are supposed to wash your wife with the word. But how can you wash your wife with the word if you don't have it?
Exactly.
Now, so, a lot of people don't understand this relationship. In fact, a lot of these relationships aren't even sanctioned by the most important authority that's going to allow it to stay together, and that's God. Because there's going to be some times when you're married and you just really don't like each other. If you just don't.
That's not funny. That's not funny, but
listen. I mean, we're having a real discussion. I'm a real therapist, so we're gonna have a real discussion. If you think that you're going to be in a relationship with somebody for 10, 15, 20 years and y'all going to be in love and liking each other all the time and all that.
It's not. No.
That's not
No.
reality.
No, it isn't.
That's not reality. But what is reality is finding ways to continue to fall in love with that significant other, and making sure that you have a firm foundation. And to do that, you can talk to Impact Counseling. I can help you to make sure you have a solid foundation before
Yes.
you enter the lifelong covenant and obligation of marriage, and give you the tools to sustain that. And first and foremost, take a look at yourself and make sure that you're ready for that level of commitment. Because the club is always going to be there. The out is always going to be there. You've got to decide that you're mature enough for that type of relationship, the relationship that you say that you want. A lot of people are living inconsistent with what they say they want. They want a good man, but are you a good woman? You know, are you say you want, is that my phone, or I don't know what.
I don't know. That's here in my house.
Okay, we got alarms going off.
Yeah, let me
somebody
see.
don't want this. Hey, somebody don't want this message to get out, man. Somebody want to get this message. So we'll take a little commercial break for the beeps to stop.
I don't know. We just beeping here.
It might
No
be a
alarm
fire
going
alarm.
off. Just something just went off. First was you, now it's me.
Hey, somebody don't want this message to get out. But the bottom line is you will seek and get what you're prepared to receive. Right?
Yeah.
So and that's how it works. And I really think that's a lot to do with God. That God will not give you what you're not ready for.
That's true. That beeping's still going.
Is it a fire alarm? That's what it sounds like.
I don't know what it is. Let me go check real quick. Y'all hold tight. Keep on talking, Joseph.
Oh man, you're gonna put it on me. All right. Well, somebody call in, write in if you're interested in, have a question or whatever. Feel free to write in to the show. And we are going to have a Zoom for some folks that don't want to, speak in this forum. I understand it. We have, a significant amount of people watching the show and listening. So stand by for the Zoom. I'm going to send that to Ron. And either be myself or one of the other therapists or life coaches there to address whatever topic you want to talk about. And, we talk about whatever, relationships, children, marriage, whatever. So.
Man, gotta love it. Gotta love it. Don't know what it is, but it's just chirping like maybe it's warning me for the cold weather coming up on Saturday.
Might be. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But hey, we about at that time anyway. So
Yeah, let's go ahead and end it right now so I find out what's going on in this house.
All right. Hey, the MacGyver's got a mission, man. So,
Yeah. And
I think we had a good show.
yes, sir. So you take care. I'm gonna find out what's going on and let everybody know everything's fine, but nothing's burning, so we don't know what it is.
All right, we're gonna end with that last saying. And your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying. So you can go ahead and run the commercial, and we'll be out.
All right.